So, continuing. My parents got married and then had my brother, Lucas, in 1980. We grew up in Santa Rosa, California, which was amazing. I loved being in Santa Rosa. I loved that we were so close to everything. Half hour from the beach, 45 minutes to San Francisco, 40 minutes, not even to the Redwoods. It was a beautiful, beautiful area. I struggled a lot with emotions. And I know it was because of my situation of just where I lived at and growing up Jehovah's Witness and not wanting to be a Jehovah's Witness, knowing that you had to have certain friends. You can only have certain friends. You couldn't have them anywhere outside of the congregation. So struggling like that was hard because, like I said, I was bullied a lot when I was little. Not really sure why. I was the outside person. Maybe the way I dressed. I really don't even know. I had a good life though. Like, I grew up the way we grow up. I was we had money. Like, we didn't have like tons of money, obviously, but I got new clothes every year for school. I got random gifts like throughout the year. So, I mean, it wasn't like I never got anything when it was my birthday or whatever. Yeah, of course I didn't get that, but... And then every January, my mom's family had owned a beach, Dillon Beach, so we went for the whole month of January, which I loved every single moment of that. I cherish that, and I miss that every day. So I mean, I wasn't like spoiled, but I wasn't deprived. We always had food. My dad worked a lot. He worked a couple jobs, sometimes 3, just to get through stuff. But I mean, we lived there for 18 years in the same apartment, so, and I don't think they raised the rent too much. My dad was a mail carrier, so he didn't work on Sundays, which worked out for him. As far as going to meetings, my mom worked every once in a while, not a lot. She was home with us a lot. We went to school like regular kids at regular public school. I struggled in school. I know with learning disabilities, math and English were really hard for me. I had special classes or whatever where they would come help me with stuff. But I graduated. My brother graduated, even though he didn't think he did. My older brother, Clayton, graduated, of course. he moved away when I was probably about 16, maybe 15. He moved to South Dakota. He's 11 years older than I am, so yeah, when he moved to South Dakota, that really hurt my mom, apparently. So after I graduated, and my dad gave me a choice, well, both my parents, of you can come with us, we'll give you the vehicle, you can have the truck. When you move into the house, you'll have your own room, blah, blah, blah. Or you can stay here and kind of fend for yourself. I had gotten, I think, $1,000 after my mom's family had sold the beach. So I didn't have a job at the time. I had quit because I was kind of being harassed at work. And I didn't have a vehicle yet because I didn't have money saved up for a vehicle. So I kind of just was like, okay, well, let's go. I hated that we had to leave. I miss California every day. And I try not to say that I hate where I'm at, because hate's a very strong word. But a lot of stuff has happened to me here that have made me hate it here. Not like it so much. Especially over the past 14 years that I've been here in New York. I was in South Dakota when we moved there for about 9 years. Everything really happened really quick there. I thought everything was going good. I had a nice job. My dad had helped me get a vehicle, my red Volkswagen Jetta. Oh, I love that car. I miss that car. Then I got in a car accident, and they didn't like how my work was, so they let me go. In the meantime, I was trying to find a companion, because that's what happens when you turn a certain age. You want to be able to do that. And so I moved to Iowa with a guy that I barely knew. I told my parents that he was someone that I went to school with. We dated for a little while. Things were not working out because I was not being truthful. I was not attracted to him. I was trying to get him to go to meetings because I was trying to still prove to my parents that I could be a Jehovah's Witness. That didn't work out. I ended up coming back to South Dakota. And even before that, actually, I had tried to go back to California. I had a dog. I got a Jack Russell Terrier. I took him and one night, and my parents said they went to meeting, and I said I wasn't feeling good, so I was just gonna stay home. And I packed up a bunch of clothes, and I went to California for probably 9 months. I tried to stay there, and again, I was just trying to prove that I could be a Jehovah's Witness when in the back of my mind, I knew that that was never going to happen. So, back in South Dakota, I was going through a phase. I was very vulnerable, emotional. My emotions, my hormones were all over the place. Trying to work and trying to save up and get my own little place. I was sleeping with a couple guys and ended up getting pregnant with my oldest daughter, Malachi. Of course, still trying to prove, being a Jehovah's Witness, that, I can do it. My parents and the congregation, they cut me off. But growing up Jehovah's Witness, you have all those people that you only know. You don't know anybody from the outside world, and people that you know from the outside world, you think they're evil and, they called it worldly people, because they were outside of the world and you were in your own little congregation. And I tried really hard as far as like making friends and stuff in South Dakota, but they all seemed like they had their own little cliques and little circles, and they didn't really want anybody from the outside. So I kind of just went and made my own friends. So I thought they were my friends. I met Brian, my ex-husband, my first ex-husband, after I went to a party, and that is when I had found out that I was pregnant, and I didn't realize it until I was about 3 months pregnant. And of course, they showed me her little ultrasound and my little kicker. So her birth name is Cadence, and that's because she loved music, and every time I had music on, she was kicking. So I ended up having to marry Brian because that was one way that I could get back into the church. Even if it, he wasn't Jehovah's Witness, so at least I was kind of, help my child. So we were together for 8 years. He was an alcoholic and a drug addict, where he used a lot of pills. He even stole my medication, like from my Oxy, because I had a C-section because it was a rough labor. So I had to struggle with that for 8 years. We had 2 more children after that. Dylan, who was 18. He just turned 18 in August. And Adriana, my sweet little girl, just turned 15 in January. I cry only because I haven't seen them in about 9 years. Because I'm a horrible person, apparently, to certain people. And I'm not saying that whatever circumstances was in, like, made me wrong or made me right. either way. I was going through a lot. After we moved here in 2001, we got a divorce. So it was me and then the 3 kids. And it's overwhelming. And when I first got pregnant with Malachi, I was very suicidal, only because my parents and the religion and my family disowned me. And I knew that I felt like death was going to be the only thing that was going to save me, because I literally felt like my world was coming to an end because my parents and my family were disowning me. So I started on Zoloft. That was my first hospitalization. I was 20 years old. That was in South Dakota. I mean, so that's the whole thing. Is a lot of thing is like people know that like I was going through struggles and stuff, and I feel a lot of times like they use that as like a leverage to like make me feel worse. And I've been off of my medication for 10 months. And I feel so much better. And I'm not saying that medication doesn't work for everybody, but I've noticed that since I was 20 and now I'm 42, being on medications for all those years, I know I lost a lot of memory. It's caused me to go into the hospital multiple times. It feels like, I don't know, just, it's something that, I don't know if it was just how everything happened, and with the pregnancy and getting disowned and everything. Growing up Jehovah's Witness, I wasn't really sure exactly how or when it even started, but these past 10, 9, 8 months, I've definitely changed my mindset as far as how things are gonna go. And yes, maybe it's been 20 years and lots of experiences, but maybe just I finally realized that it's the way you look at stuff. It's the way you look at things. And just how, again, how people like to use my struggles and as a leverage to make me worse than I am. But I know that I'm better than that. I'm way worth it. I'm so worth it. And I want my children to know that they're worth it. And that no matter how hard things will be or can be, because I'm currently homeless at the moment. My husband kicked me out because of my anger. And I have had a lot of anger. I remember when I was probably 13, 14, my parents were going to go to the Rose Festival in Pasadena. That's one big thing in California. And because my brother didn't want to go, it made me upset. And it made me not want to go because he didn't want to go. And I think about it at the time, and I'm like, why did I act like that? Why did I throw a fit? Because he didn't want to go. Like, it was no big deal. Like, my parents were going, my sister went. We could have had a great time. But maybe it was just a part of me that didn't want to leave him behind. I mean, I'm still learning about this myself too, so bear with me. And then, like, when everything happened with them disowning me, like, it came to reality. Like, this is really abandonment. When I was in 3rd grade, I did not like my teacher. She yelled a lot. And she pinpointed me out a lot because I was very quiet. And because I had a learning disability and I was struggling a lot. And I didn't go to school a lot of times. I was supposed to get on the bus and I never did. Or we would walk to school because my mom didn't have her license until she was in her 40s. So sometimes I would get dropped off at school and I would walk home. And I was like 7, 8 years old. And like, I don't know where this like courage came from, but sometimes I wish I had that a lot more. And I am learning to give myself that compassion and that courage. Struggling with emotions, my parents fighting, and my brother disconnecting, both of my brothers disconnecting, my sister, she disconnected from a lot of stuff too, but I mean, she's still a Jehovah's Witness, and so is my brother, Clayton. And it all happened very quickly because when I got divorced from my first husband, my dad finally decided that he was going to get a divorce from my mom. And, yeah. So he had an affair. Not saying it was right, but that broke the relationship with my siblings and my father. I, on the other hand, have a wonderful relationship with him because we both realize that life sucks and can suck sometimes, yes. And sometimes you just don't want to stay in those horrible situations. And that was the reason that I got divorced from Brian, because we moved to Buffalo and we didn't have that much money because he didn't really work and I worked. And I worked 3 or 4 jobs. And that is another reason why everything worked out the way it was with him getting the kids. But as soon as we moved to Buffalo, he drained the bank account so that he could go do drugs. And so it left me and the kids. So at that point, you're just like, okay, well, I'm not going to keep continuing like this. Like, I'm going to try to make things better. Because I'm not going to stand taking care of 4 kids, which is what it felt like. So this is part 3. I will continue.